Hello everyone and welcome back to Bricks and Dragons. Today we have Figure Friday and we have finally Venger and Dungeon Master. So I believe this is, God please don't tell me it is, but I want to say because we have this is the 40th anniversary. I'm getting old. Okay, so I had to order this off of Amazon. I figured, well, it was about time to try and get the rest of the set. These are the only two from the original that Hasbro had done as a regular 6-inch figure from the original comic or cartoon. So here we go. We're gonna kind of open her up. I mean, as you had seen before, I do have all the other ones, but we have not gotten these, and we have not gotten them open, obviously. So let's get to it. Let's get them opened up, and let's go see what they look like here in person. So now we can torment everybody with Venger and the Dungeon Master. See what kind of riddles we can come up with. Okay, so that looks like we have a display in the back. So let me see what we have here. We have a poster board. There we go. Let's see here if we can do this so everyone can see. Kinda. I might have to. All right, well, let me just do this. So, here was our crew that were going into the Dungeons and Dragons roller coaster as they were at the whatever the fair was that we had, all the way ending up with the castle in the background. So it is very nicely done. On the back side we just have the classic Dungeons and Dragons and symbol. So this is very cool. Get this in the background. Let's see here. So we got 1, we have 2, and we have 3. All right, I don't know what's all in here. The third one looks like this must be Venger because I see feet. So if I see feet, let's see what we see. And obviously, like I said, this must definitely be Venger because when I'm looking at it, there we are. Okay. Oh, and we have cardboard underneath there to keep this all flared out. So I'm going to take the cardboard off. Looking underneath here, he has good knees, just like everybody else. Just trying to see if I can't figure out how to get them to want to stand good. I'm sure with the long pleated, I don't know why they had given them kind of a skirtish look, but he always did. And we have replacement hands, so if you want him to shoot out some sort of blast of some sort, you can do that. So that's what we have here. All right, that works pretty good. Well, let's see what's in our mystery bag 2. Oh, his wings. His wings. I'll put that back there. And we have another bag inside of a bag. Which is funny because, they're always trying to make sure that they're not using too much stuff, but then we have a bag inside of a bag. So we have 1 dickens of a size of a D20. And there's the and symbol, and that's the 1, so now the and is our 20. And we have our percentile dice. So when we had all the other ones, we had the dice lined up. So we were going to have, what, I believe 2 D20. And we had we had 1 D10 before, now we have 2 of them. So, and then we'll get Venger with his wings. If I can get them in here correctly. Oh, come on, good sir. There you go. He is... The joints are nice and stiff. That's what I think you would really want. You know, and I've said this before with some of the G.I. Joe figures and some of the Star Wars figures. I mean, because it's all Hasbro. I think when we first start, we want to have a little bit stiffer joints. You know, they'll loosen up after, or you know, through use and everything else. So especially if you're getting this for a child. Okay, so he does have movement. He can kind of look down some, and he can kind of look up a little bit. His head is going to be right where it is. I don't think it's going to move. You know, we have pleats down here, so we can move the arms a little bit, but trying to keep it inside here, that's going to be a little harder to do. You know, but there again, it's how he was drawn, and it's one thing when you're animating something and you need it to do something, you just do it. Obviously, we don't have him on his horse. I don't know how you would do that. I keep looking up underneath here because, I mean, he's got the full regular figure articulation. It's just that we have the skirt, really. You know, and it's got the cut pleats here, so you can kind of lift this up to get him to move his leg for whatever, to get him to stand a little bit better. I think this is going to really help him stand either way. He is on his feet. This is up off the ground, but just how this sits, it is very impressive, especially with the wings. I think he's just going to be a lot more of a static. If anything, I think you're just going to be using his arms, moving those around a little bit. The rest of them, I think you're just going to end up leaving him be. You know, normally with our figures, we've got like an extra joint right there around the stomach area, you know, so you can kind of bend over. You know, like if you're picking things up, or like for our G.I. Joe figures, like if they're in a prone position, but they're trying to arc their back up to shoot a rifle or something like that. We don't have that with him. Okay. And then we have Dungeon Master himself. All right. And of course, we do not have very much in articulation, and I guess that's really to be expected. His arm, I do see a joint here, so I should be able to lift his arm up a little bit more. Like if he's trying to wave and say, over here. So I think this works out pretty good. Let's see. Because having this flange out here should really be, in my mind, more of the outside, although it looks like it's more of the behind the collar, like it's sitting back here, not on the outside. So however you want to do that. Let's see here. Nope. Have that go down. Okay. So that's about as much as we're going to get out of him. He does not have a lot of movement. His head with his, because he's got that long hair, and that really, that's iconic. He had the long hair. But there we are. That's really it. There's not much more to them. You know, it's definitely an amazing thing. You know, because you have father and son, and then you have the adventurers, which are taken from the regular human world and brought in. You know, how much different, how polarizing opposites they really are. You know, to sit here and say how kind and gentle Dungeon Master is in the world that he has created, where he is essentially God, and yet you have Venger who can come in and he's always trying to undermine things, and he's always trying to. So this is really, like so many other things, it's that internal struggle, or eternal struggle, not internal, eternal struggle of good and evil, right? You know, we have God, we have Satan, and then they're both trying to pull humanity in that one way or the other. But they can only do so much. You know, really it comes into the same biblical terms. And it works for Star Wars. It works very well in a cartoon for Dungeons and Dragons and so many adventures. That's why, you know, I will hit some topics when I'm doing my own campaigns that are not very pleasant topics. You know, I don't want to get too dark and too gritty or whatever, but, you know, when people are trying to capture other people and force them into doing things that they don't want to do, you can get your heroes to come in and they can save them and then kind of defeat the evil captors and go from there. And that's always worked very well in my group. You know, it works in some groups, but it doesn't work in others. But, you know, to sit there and manipulate people, and that's the same thing that we look at in Star Wars. You have someone that will work in the background sometimes, that will sometimes change themselves physically to trying to manipulate other people to make them think that they're doing a right thing, but they're actually working for more evil. And then you have someone that is trying to do the right thing and say, hey, I could give you water, but then that means I got to take water from somewhere else. So I can't just give you something and take from someone else. We have to kind of live in harmony here. And I think they did a really good job with that in the cartoon. And, you know, where Eric was always full of himself, how great looking he is, and he would, I know he got turned into a toad one time. I think he got turned into a bog, like the head of a bog monster or something like that at another time. It's that whole sense of, you know, sometimes we get caught up in ourselves and we have to kind of humble ourselves. I think that works out really well. I think they had always done a really good job at it. I wish we had gotten more, but that's for our own imaginations and our own creations to try and make. And that's where we are. So, but we have two very awesome figures here. There's not a lot of articulation. I mean, we have more points here. And I see right here, we do have a, you know, right there under, on the top of your, you know, where your pectoral muscles are. There is a little bit of movement, but with the armor and everything else, it just does not do a lot. And with this long skirt here, and it is a nice kind of plastic, a rubberized plastic. It works pretty good. But unfortunately, just the way his figure is, even though he stands nice, I don't think you're going to be doing a lot of movement with his legs. I think it's really going to be his arms. You're you're going to have to just sit here and put him somewhere and then say he's doing whatever, or, you know, maybe we change out his hands. I don't know how hard that is going to be, because we're going to find out. Get the correct hand here. I'm not a big one for wanting to do this a lot, because I'm always afraid I'm going to break things, because you've seen how many times I'm not trying to, and then it seems like I do. Okay. So now he's trying to shoot something out at Dungeon Master, and of course he will take it and repel it and just kind of whisk it away and maybe turn it into some flowers. But very iconic figures, very nice to have. So, and he has that very nice gentle face, very broad, gentle, smiling face, in the contrast to how Venger looks just like he's ready to strike everybody down. So, very nicely done. I really do like how they look. I think they look very good. There's not much that we can really do with our articulation for how they were always drawn. But there again, I think with the limitations that they are, I think it works pretty good. Maybe if we had another joint in here, but that would take away from how the sleeve looks, because you'd have to kind of come in to be able to move the arm in or whatever. So, you know, in a lot of regards, I guess that really can't be helped all that much. I mean, with small arms in comparison, and like I said, if we were to segment this, we'd have to kind of chisel in so that way you could kind of bring this around. So yeah, as much as I really wish I could, I don't think that would be very practical. Now maybe if they had done it with more of a cloth, but there again, depending on how that's sat or whatever else, that may or may not have worked. So yeah, I don't know. And then maybe if this was more of a cloth, but would it flare out and look good? Because it did always flare out, so that is another point here. I don't know. I'm sure that they had to have tried different techniques there to try and get it to look. I think with the arms, if that was a cloth, that probably would have looked a little bit better. Well, see, that's the hardest thing, because I'm looking at it and it's, you know, it looks good, but would it have worked out as well? That's really, I guess, where I'm trying to go. If this was a loose cloth that was just hinged up here, just over the shoulder, would that give a better range of movement and still have that nice look? So I don't know what compromises they did. I don't know what kind of materials they use, and you know, I would have hoped that they would have gone through all that stuff and said, well, this is the best compromise for form compared to function and everything else. And, you know, Dungeon Master, it's not like we're going to be looking at Yoda and sitting there saying he's going to be flipping here and there and everywhere else. So, yeah. But either way, they look very nice. So, all right, well, thank you for visiting. Hope you have a wonderful day, and hope you find this interesting, and we'll see you in the next video.